Alright, guess who is back? It is one of the spiritual warriors out of many spiritual warriors out there that are fighting that good fight, basically by putting up boundaries and trying to stay away from people that they would call toxic, but I would call the dark triad brats. They're brats, okay? They really are. They're really brats. But anyways, I figured that I would get in a little time and try to get in a little recording. And today I wanted to talk about something kind of interesting and funny. I wanted to talk about the smear campaign and how I noticed from, my own kind of experience, through actually years of experience of how actually the smear campaign actually worked when it was working against me. And once I tell you, it's going to blow your mind. So check this out. Okay, the smear campaign starts right as you enter in the devaluation stage of a relationship with whoever is this dark triad brat. So when you head into devaluation, what the thing is they'll start looking for things that they don't particularly are fond of you, or they want you to change about yourself, and then they start dropping these bombs on you. And this is the devaluation stage. But this is also around the time that the smear campaign secretly starts. And let's tell you how that actually works. How it works is that they start first, they actually get you in isolated spots where they actually judge you. And, they bring these criticisms and everything to you, and actually one-on-one first. It's kind of to get you kind of prepped for what's about to come next in the next part. So, if they're not a big fan of your shoes, they think your hair looks kind of funny, everything that they think that you need to change about yourself is going to come out during the devaluation stage. But it's done in a funny way to where sometimes it's coming out as dark sarcasm. They make a joke of your shoes, or they make a joke that your clothes look funny, or that you listen to weird music, or, it's going to be, this is the devaluation stage. But now what's going to happen to really start the smear campaign, and it is so sinister. And this may be years before the actual smear campaign goes into full effect. This is just the start of it. What'll happen is, now that they've gotten used to doing that to you in isolated areas and stuff, now they're going to introduce it into group settings, okay? And this is where they're going to start messing you up slowly over time, because of the fact they're going to start doing the dark sarcasm on you. And they're going to take a shot at those same things they were saying to you in public, and you're going to try to dismiss it because they've already kind of trained you while you were, in isolated incidents, right? You've already heard these complaints, so you're just hearing them now in front of other people slowly over time, and they're bringing these actually issues out to these other people so they can also start to criticize and judge you too. So now it has become a group. It's a group abuse thing that starts happening if these people don't have empathy for you. So, over time, their complaints seem like valid things that you need to change about yourself. You're too sensitive, okay, some of your music might be a little funny, but these are things that make you you, They're trying to actually disconnect you from being you, and now they're using a group to actually do that, group setting socially, and then when you start getting defensive and try to defend yourself when they do this, because at some point you're going to get defensive because it's going to feel like attacks, and they are attacks. They're cleverly disguised attacks using a group dynamic against you. And now what will happen to you is you'll get mad at them, and you'll try to stand actually your ground, and you might even have this misconception that people will side with you because you're finally standing up for yourself. You're trying to tell them, no, you've gone too far, you've done too much, you're saying too much. Why are you doing this? You could even call out that why do you keep singling me out? And the group sees what it wants to see. So And this is where a tragedy kind of happens, because a lot of people just kind of sit and actually watch it happen, and they just think you're being over actual dramatic and stuff. They don't know that this has been a pattern now that has been going on. It first started in an isolated, space between you and them, and then they dragged it into a group setting, and now they're trying to turn people against you. And this may go on for years until you finally decide to walk away and see the trap has already been sprung way back at the devaluation stage. The moment they introduced it in the group and people were able to see it and they started judging you, like I said, the trap was probably set a lot longer before you even imagined. That's how messed up that it can be sometimes, And like I said, if you're not surrounded by people that are empathetic for you, that actually care about you, that can actually feel your pain, because sometimes you're sitting around a bunch of people that really do not feel your pain. They're not empathetic. So to them, they just see you making faces and you look hurt. And some of these people enjoy that too. So you might be surrounded by sadistic people as well that are actually enjoying your pain and suffering. But like I said, it's a mixture of all these things that are sometimes going on in a group setting. And there you are, ending up standing alone. And eventually you're supposed to collapse under this pressure and just let them abuse you. That's what is supposed to happen. So it slowly erodes you, eats away at whatever, those things that you used to love to do and stuff. Over time, you would stop doing them. You would feel embarrassed. You'd feel silly, Suddenly you don't want to listen to that music no more. Suddenly you don't want to wear those certain clothes no more. You see what I'm saying? Trying to change you to, fit their actual narrative, and it's messed up because, it's not fair to actually anyone that's going through this, especially, to find out that you might be surrounded by people that don't care about you. And, fact of the matter is if this is happening to you, or you feel like this is happening to you, you're going to have to eventually isolate from them. It's not a prophecy. You're going to have to pretty much do it out of self-preservation, because the pattern doesn't stop. It will keep going, and over time it'll get worse, as they say, and that's really true, because, as they, get more and more, confirmation from this group setting, they're going to get more and more abusive towards you. They'll become more vocal. Suddenly they'll start throwing temper tantrums in your face, you know what I'm saying? And now they have, clearance, because of the fact that, all this stuff is going down. And, and what is worse is if you have a violent reaction to the stuff that they're saying and you're the one yelling, it makes you look like the villain, as actually everyone knows, even though you're actually responding to them actually using a pattern to actually abuse you and try to break you. So yeah, I wanted to, cover that and how I experienced the smear campaign, or I should say smear campaigns, because I've been through more than one, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, anyways, it's about destroying your image at the end of the day. You will notice that you'll take on the actual villain role for a while. But the funniest thing is this stuff always dissolves if you end up stepping away from everyone, because, they need you to show up so that you can play the role that you will play on stage, so that they can do this to you repetitively. Without that, the narrative, it falls in on itself. So, your presence is a part of it. Be careful when you're showing up, be careful of the friend groups that you're hanging around. These people can do a lot of damage to you, without you giving it much thought, If they make you feel like trash a lot, this should be a good sign in the first place that these are not your people. Really, they're not. If you always feel like trash, you feel like you're never heard, you don't feel like these people care about you, stop hanging out with them. Just stop. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there for now. I think I've done enough recording for the moment to put out this message. I'll be putting out more to help those spiritual warriors out there who are dealing with dark triad brats. But anyway, but yeah, till I return, a little more knowledge they're not teaching y'all in college.